Hello, my loves, and welcome to another episode of the Shia Vibe podcast. I am beyond thrilled to have you tuning in. And today it's a special episode because we do have a special guest, and that guest is Ryan. So, hi, Ryan, and welcome to the show. I'm thrilled to have you on.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm grateful to be here and I'm excited to get into this. And
So,
it's been a long time coming now. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
it is. And also, I think what is really cool is that, like, initially I discovered you through a podcast with Morgan Nielsen. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. And that's kind of how we connected. So I think it's especially nice to have you on my podcast now.
Yeah, it's an honor. Thank you.
So it's really cool. So actually what I was looking up when I discovered the podcast with you was the topic around feminine and masculine energy. And this is one of the main topics your work revolves around, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I work with men and women all over the world, helping them integrate their healthy masculine and feminine energy through healing the little boy, healing the little girl within. So a lot of inner child work, a lot of past trauma healing,
Yeah.
and yeah, really helping people awaken that power that they already have within them, but helping them come back to that. Yeah.
That's so cool. So I think one of the main parts also is, or for you, really important is the topic around purpose. Um,
Mm.
so what really is purpose to you? I think it's something that like a lot of people look for, especially these days. And they seem like they can't really find it. Like, how do you define purpose for you?
Yeah, I love this question. And it all actually comes back and they all kind of work together. Masculine, feminine energy, purpose, relationship with yourself. It's all coming back home to who you really are and cultivating that relationship with yourself. So most people think their purpose is something outside of them. They think it's this thing that they find eventually that then makes them money, and it's this thing that they do every single day that leaves them feeling fulfilled and happy. Uh, Normally, it's a career path that people are focused on when they're wanting to discover their purpose. But what your purpose truly is, what I truly believe your purpose is, and for everyone, is that we are our purpose. Who we are at our core is our purpose. Because when we look at the true essence of the soul, so before the human body, it's been quite evident that there is an essence of a soul within everyone.
Mhm.
We are energetic beings, right? We are souls having a human experience. And if you don't believe that or whatnot, you don't have to believe me, but if you just zoom out far enough, we are literally uh, just little ants walking around on a giant rock flying through space in solar systems. And it's, you zoom out far enough, it's like, oh, okay, maybe it is
Mhm.
possible that we are just energetic beings and souls incarnated into this physical body having this experience. And the main purpose of the soul, if you look outside in nature, nature is its main purpose is growth, expansion, and evolution. So the main purpose of the soul is growth, evolution, and expansion. It wants to keep growing, it wants to keep evolving because it wants to keep experiencing more of itself. That's how energy works. It experiences
Mhm.
itself. So the more we come back to who we are before the human body, the true essence of who we are, it's recognizing that yes, we are a soul, and the soul's purpose is growth, evolution, and expansion. So that then says that our purpose, our main soul purpose, is to grow and evolve and expand. And the more we come back to that purpose for the soul as well then also has a greater purpose, that it was incarnated into this physical body to then go out and be in the world, right? Then there's the global purpose, right? Everyone has a deeper meaning and purpose as to why they were incarnated into a physical body to be here. And for the main purpose of growth, evolution, and expansion of humanity,
I love
right? So
that. That's
yeah,
so good.
and the more we come back to that and realize that, like I said, like the universe is wanting to experience itself through us. So the more we allow that to be, the more we're actually rewarded for that too. So what I really help people do is come back to who they were born to be, not taught to be. So this is where we uncover and discover all of the layers that a lot of us have placed on ourselves that are preventing us from being the full expression that we were actually placed on this earth to be. And I believe that's our purpose, is discovering why it is that we were uh, put here on this earth into this physical body. And we discover that by discovering who we truly were before we were shaped and taught to be a certain way. That's what I believe that our purpose is.
Like before the world imprinted their version of the world onto us. Oh, that's really cool because like honestly, like I think growth is something that should never end. And I feel like sometimes people consider it to be a little bit like tiring or exhausting. And I feel like no, like it's what we are meant to be. It's what we are meant to do. Um that's really cool. I think yeah, and for many people, do you feel like it's something that um you feel like that's the main cause, that's the main reason why people are unhappy with their lives when they maybe can't really define it, right? So I feel like there's a general unhappiness in this world very often. So and also like even personally, people were like, how can you always be so like happy or have like a positive like view onto the world like whatever happens? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, like it's just how I'm wired, or like it's a decision, right? It's an active decision. But I feel like a lot of people kind of already gave up. They were like, yeah, whatever, like life has to be hard, life has to be this and that way. And so actually it's probably because they just haven't found their purpose yet, they haven't found back to themselves yet. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's the journey of coming back home to who you are at your core. And then, there's different levels of I teach there's different levels of integrity. There's three levels. There's the physical integrity, so being within integrity of your physical body. So health, nutrition, like all of it, everything that comes with the physical body, the breath, um, yeah, all of it. Then we have integrity on an emotional level. So being in alignment with what's real in your body, the emotions, being able to listen to your heart, live your life aligned with your heart. And then there's integrity of the soul, and that's coming back to your true essence of who you were born to be. And then this is where most people, this is where the career comes from it, right? So it's the discovering who you truly are, coming back home to yourself, and then how you express that into the world is then your mission. How you bring that to the world is then what most people think is or have perceived their purpose to be. But
Mhm.
we are our greatest purpose, and how we express that purpose into the world is our mission. And I know that me personally, living a life that's truly aligned with my soul and what I know that I am here to do and be in the world, we still are in human bodies. We're going to experience the whole range of what it means to be human as well. And knowing that, it's going, okay, cool. Like there's happiness, there's sadness. Like we're going to experience all the range of emotions that come with being human. And it's accepting that we are human, and the human body and mind experiences these sorts of things. And that's normal. And it's being accepting of that. And um, so I think, it's happiness, unhappiness. Like there wouldn't be happiness if there wasn't unhappiness.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't know what unhappiness is if you've been happy before.
Hmm.
Like there's two sides to the same coin. So this is the human experience. This is the ego at play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like very often people also find like they just fall into acceptance, right? So, because even interestingly, I've been like as a coach, like I've been criticized before for like people ask me to like where's the difference between like acceptance and or like where's kind of the middle between acceptance and transformation? And I was like, well, I always stood and I will always stand for transformation, right? So, I mean, acceptance, I don't say that it's like easy, but it's easier in
Mm.
in my opinion. And so I feel like, yeah, definitely it's the direction to go. So interestingly, when it comes to like the body part, you have a past in fitness as well. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I was a coach in the fitness industry for about 5 years, and I trained high level business owners and athletes in the gym,
Cool.
online, but yeah, mostly in the gym. So yeah, I definitely have a background of the physical, working with the physical body, and you know the real transformation that I wanted to create with people is I know a lot of them get into the gym and start training physically because there's normally a deeper underlying reason as to why
Mhm.
they're wanting to transform their body. And man, like fitness, health, movement is a huge key pillar in my life and what I do, and especially what I teach men. And it's but it's doing it from the right place. And I just saw so many people suffering and doing it for all the wrong reasons. Women heavily in their masculine energy, actually wearing the shield of protection. And,
Mhm.
I knew that I was here for so much more than just helping someone transform physically, because there's a lot more to our experience than just the human body. And um, I know that I am here to help people come back to who they are on a soul level and really see themselves through the eyes of who they really are, not
Mhm.
through the eyes of someone else,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or who they think they need to be based on how they were brought up or the trauma they've experienced. Yeah.
So how do you like how does your work like does it heavily differentiate between men and women?
Yes and no. Um, it's very we have different I have different approaches as to how I'd work with a woman compared to a man, but it's very much the same thing. We as little boys and little girls, we're just meaning making machines.
Mhm.
And when we grow up, when we're born, we are wired for mother and father. And we need that. And we are egocentric. The world revolves around us.
Mhm.
So knowing that, yeah, everyone is a narcissist to some degree.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
A word that's thrown around very easily,
Definitely.
but it's like we need it for our survival.
Mhm.
There's a level of we need to get our needs met.
Mhm.
And this is why a child will cry and scream when his mother doesn't attend to him or
Mhm.
her. And we experience these things growing up, the love we did or didn't receive growing up from mom and dad. We make it mean things about us. We experience, situations where we didn't get to emotionally feel or express or be held by mum or dad in a safe way. And then we take on that experience. And until we allow ourselves to feel the what's there, we'll continue holding on to it. So it's very similar as to and then on a society level, women have what they experience, the number one need for the feminine energy, for is mostly women, is the need for safety.
Mhm.
And
Definitely.
based on the world that they've grown up in, they've felt so unsafe. So there's a lot of trauma around that for women. And then men in this day and age have experienced either a physically unavailable father or an emotionally unavailable father, where they didn't have that strong pillar of support, that they were then raised by their mother, and they've become either the weak, uh, nice guy who's numb from his emotions, who's passive aggressive, who's just checked out from himself, who can't stand for anything. So
Mhm.
this is where the wounds of the masculine and feminine then start to come into play. And it's very, as you can tell from those different wounds, there's different ways we work with it. But in its true essence, like this is where a lot of a lot of the conditioning and programming and beliefs that we create about ourselves at a young age really stem from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a lot
Yeah.
about rewiring eventually. Or like also I feel like a big part is also like identifying in the first place where the like all the patterns even like stem from. And for me, like a lot starts with consciousness in the first place. I feel like so many people are like, and I include myself. I mean, I feel like discovering like yourself never really stops. So it will probably like for the rest of your life, you will discover things or like patterns or whatever, and that you're like, like, is that really me? Or like, did I just yeah, kind of take that all like over from one of my parents or yeah, whoever brought you up, right? So
Mm.
it's a lot about like finding yourself, your true self. And so when it comes to like women, what I find is really interesting is like so I mean the modern day woman
Yep.
and I count myself as such. I feel like it is not really easy in today's world to really follow or like yeah, kind of reconnect with the feminine energy sometimes or like the feminine within ourselves. And I have to admit like I was like, I mean, I was the badass bitch, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like only define myself over like discipline and achievements. I was doing bodybuilding for super long. I was hyper independent. Like even I was for like almost 10 years in a relationship, but I was running that relationship, right? I mean, it was me and I was so like I only relied on myself. I never at some point I even realized like I never really trusted women because I always choose, for example, men as coaches in my sports, right? Because I was like, women can't really push me that hard to get to that point to be like a really good competitor. And like thinking like or like listening to that, what I thought about is like back then was like, okay, that's crazy. Also like the way that I wanted someone to treat me, right? So it's really interesting to kind of identify these thoughts. But I feel like it's something that also a lot of my followers in Instagram, like women, I would say around like somewhere between like 25, 23 or so, 25, 35, like in that kind of range, they message me and be like, I want to know more about the feminine energy. How can I like
Mm.
reconnect? How can I get out of like hyper independency? Like it's a lot around like and like these topics. So do you like work with this kind of woman and like I feel like it's really that would be really interesting, like to get a little bit more into how can like modern women these days actually like reconnect with their feminine.
Mm. Yeah, great. There's a lot here that we can go into, and this is such a incredible topic that I love to speak to because I know, wow, I speak to so many women who experience this. As I said, the number one need for the feminine energy is the need for safety.
Mhm.
And so many women have grown up in such a masculine world where they feel and have felt quite unsafe. And let me explain the true essence of the feminine, masculine and feminine energy to begin with. So,
That's
first
good.
of all, masculine and feminine energy is not gender specific. So, male and female, we both have these energies within us. Women are typically more in their feminine at their core, and men are typically more in their masculine in their core. The reason being is because of sexual polarity. So, there's actually attraction for us to want to procreate, recreate as humans, make babies. Like there needs to be that attraction.
Mhm.
So this is what's called sexual polarity. This is what's called the polar opposites, the positive and negative coming together. Those two positives, they like a magnet, you get two positive ends, it doesn't go together. Like you get two negative ends, they doesn't go together. There needs to be the positive and negative for there to be attraction. So this is why it is. As I shared, everything in life is wanting to come back to balance.
Mhm.
This is why this is. So, the feminine energy in its essence is energy itself. It is at its true essence. When we look at an atom is 99.9999% nothing, space, energy, nothing. And if you look at if you research what a picture of an atom looks like, it's like this little ball of energy that just goes everywhere, right? It
Yeah.
has no direction. That's the feminine. The feminine
I
is
love that.
chaos energy. It has no direction. It's uncontained. It has uh it it goes where it wants. It expresses itself how it wants. This is why when we look at the energy, the feminine energy within us as humans, it's the expressive energy, right? It's the magnetic energy. It's the emotion, because emotions are just energy that wants to move through the body. So very in tune with the energy of the body. This is why women have such a strong intuition, because they're so sensitive to energy, because they are more energy than men, if that makes sense. This is
Absolutely.
why yeah, this is why a woman that's really in her true essence of her feminine energy is so attractive to a man who's in his masculine.
Hmm.
And knowing that is opposites attract. So with the relationship, if you want a masculine man who can lead, who has direction, who has vision, who's certain within himself, it's you focusing more on being in your divine feminine energy and being fully expressed in that. And you will attract the direct opposite. Most people are attracting their other wounded half,
Hmm.
right? So that's the feminine energy. It's the full expression. It's the flow. It's creativity. It's energy just wanting to move and just be itself. Then the masculine energy is bringing awareness to that. It's bringing structure to it. It's bringing order to the chaos of the feminine, bringing order to it. So when we look at the masculine energy in us as humans, it's our ability to direct the energy. So having direction, having vision is being able to direct your energy towards a greater vision or purpose. Being able to lead yourself is being able to hold the chaos of the energy within your body and still show up because you have clear direction and certainty within yourself. It's being able to ground the energy down. This is why men, not well, men and women, right? Someone who is more grounded is more in tune with what's happening within their body, so they have a greater level of awareness, right?
Hmm.
So you can see how bringing awareness and grounding and direction to the energy is the masculine. This is
Hmm.
why stillness is such a masculine trait, because it's being able to contain the energy. And knowing that, it's like recognizing that we need healthy masculine energy to be in our feminine. We
Hmm.
need healthy feminine energy to keep being in our masculine. They
Hmm.
go hand in hand.
Hmm.
Uh, if a woman is out of touch with her healthy masculine, her feminine will take over and she'll lose herself in emotion and in the chaos of the feminine, right? If a man's too much in his feminine, right, he will lack that groundedness, that direction, and that clear vision, and he'll feel extremely unfulfilled and become a built-up dam wall of emotion. And this is where a lot of men are. So, in a nutshell, that's the masculine and feminine energy, and then how it plays out in us as humans. And with these energies, we were already born with them balanced to a degree. So our masculine and feminine energy is based on the role models we had growing up of these energies, which is mum and dad, mother, father, our closest caretakers were
Hmm.
our closest and first representations of these energies. So we then have that. And then we then have the wounding that we experience, the trauma we experience around the mother and father role models and representations of the masculine and feminine energy.
Hmm.
This is how when someone has a masculine or feminine wound or a mother and father wound, it tends to show up in every other area of their life, especially relationships. And we will attract partners into our life that will be a direct mirror that will reflect back to us what we haven't yet healed within ourselves.
Mhm.
Reason why that happens is because that's what's familiar for our nervous system. And we will keep creating that because what's familiar is safe for our nervous system, even if it hurts. This is how we keep recreating this. But to bring it back to the women is that, like I said, actually, if you look at a waterfall, right, the picture and this what you see, the waterfall that you see, the flow of the water going over this incredible structure. There needs to be support, there needs to be direction, and there needs to be something to contain the water to allow the water to actually flow. Without that structure, without the containment, without the direction, the water can't flow. It'll just go anywhere.
Mhm.
And for a woman, if she doesn't have that support, that structure and safety within herself, or in what she experienced around her growing up, she will become the structure herself because she doesn't have the space to actually flow. She doesn't feel safe enough or supported enough to surrender and relax into her feminine to flow. And when a woman finally feels safe enough to surrender and relax into her feminine to flow, it's extremely fucking powerful. Because if you look at the waterfall, the most powerful and beautiful part about the waterfall is the water going over the structure and flowing freely. So when a woman really feels safe enough to be in her true feminine energy and be embodied in that and be fully expressed in that, it's extremely powerful, magnetic, um, extremely creative, and yeah, it's also very, very attractive to a man who's in his divine masculine energy as well. Yeah.
I love the waterfall analogy. It's beautiful. That's so good. That's literally, I think that's the best one I've ever heard. I love it. So, why do you think it is then that like it's still so hard for so many women these days to actually connect to their feminine? Like, is it like a society problem that like it's literally a man's world? So very often we are, I mean, I've worked in corporate for 9 years, right? I was very often like kind of told to boss up or like to man up and like don't show too many emotions and whatever. And at some point you kind of stop, right? Or like even I feel like in a relationship, if you don't find that safety as a woman, I mean, you recreated or kind of you created for the relationship because like there has to be structure, there has to be safety at some point. Like either you're the one creating it or the man creates it, right? So I feel like yeah, like how can like what can a woman like actually do these days, or like what is the reason why it's so hard to be in the feminine energy?
Mm. And it comes back to, men and women in this situation. So if a man's listening to this, like it totally relates to a man as well. But for women in this situation, it's creating enough safety in your environment, in your external environment, first of all, so you feel safe enough to actually go in.
Mhm.
And then it's healing the wounds that you've had around the masculine and feminine energy and creating safety within your own nervous system until a woman goes back and heals her little girl, her inner child that's within, until she creates that safety within and meets the needs of the little girl that she has and allows that little girl to finally be heard, seen, held, understood, and fully felt. She will feel unsafe within. And I see a lot of women trying to be more feminine.
Mhm.
When women come back to who they truly are by healing the core wounds at play, they just are. They just they they don't have to try. They just step back into their power as the divine feminine
Mhm.
because they finally have that safety within themselves to just be it in the world. And whatever's happening within is a reflection of our external world. So what then starts to happen is when a man or a woman starts coming back to their true core energy and their true core essence of who they really are, their external world then starts to become a reflection of what's happening within. So if you're a woman and you're really living in a masculine world and you have so much masculine around you, and I would be looking at what's happening within, right? Because as I said, like your external world's a reflection of what's happening within. So I see a lot of women in the fitness industry trying to get as strong as they can to put on this physical protection, because what they're actually trying to protect themselves from is the hurt little girl that they actually have within themselves. That's then trying to uh, then be that for herself. And as I said, your external world, your external body is a reflection of what's happening within.
Mhm.
And when a woman really, what I've noticed when a lot of women really go in and heal the little girl, and which is also healing the feminine, masculine and feminine wounds that are there as well, is they then start becoming less attracted to the things that they once were attracted to. And they also can still do the things that they love doing, but it's not from a place of pain and suffering. It's not from a place of unsafety. It's from a place of empowerment, love, gratitude, acceptance. Uh, and that's so much more powerful than living in a state of fear. So they actually become more creative, and they gain more energy towards doing the things that they actually love doing, because they're now not running away from the pain or trying to protect themselves. They're now doing it because that's just what they love doing, and it's coming from a place of inspiration, not pain and suffering. Yeah.
That's really good. I think it's also, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I very often got asked, like, when it comes to like the topic around like feminine masculine, it's like when it comes to relationships, right? It's like, okay, but like why is it that like I don't have a partner yet and whatever. And I feel like it comes down so often, as you already said, like it so often comes down to like to that part, to actually the masculine and feminine, and like as long as you're like overlaying your masculine energy and like you also recreate these patterns because you don't really pay attention to what is going on underneath, you will kind of also be stuck in that. And I feel like this is really like that's the place where it all starts. And so yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
even but like I think these days like very often when we talk about like the polarities, it's mostly when it comes to relationships, right? But also I feel like, I mean, when someone's like when it's single, it's when or like when you're single and you want to be like more neo feminine or masculine, it really comes down to actually to your relationship with yourself, right? What you also carry like out in the world, pretty much.
It's a lot easier when you're single because you don't
Oh.
have the reflection in front of you every single day,
Mm.
right? And it's a lot easier to hide behind your wounds when they're not being reflected back to you.
Yeah.
This is why people, they're like, yeah, I've done the work, I've built this relationship with myself, and they get in a relationship and they go, holy shit,
Yes.
right? It's
Yes.
because you now have this mirror right in front of you reflecting the wounds that are yet to be healed. And even some of the past wounds that maybe you feel that potentially that you've healed or overcome, but it's they may still potentially show up.
Yeah.
And it's having the level of awareness to be able to hold yourself and to create enough safety within your own nervous system to navigate those wounds and really hold the little boy or the little girl that's feeling upset or lonely or frustrated or sad or whatever it is. So yeah, big thing I do is I really help people cultivate that relationship with themselves. And it's so powerful what happens when someone can hold themselves in that. And yeah, it's really incredible. And it's normally everything. What tends to happen through this work is everything that people are trying to become, they eventually, it's really cool. At some stage along their journey working with me, is they eventually recognize that everything that they've been trying to become for most of their life, they have this full body realization that they already are all of it. And when they recognize that, they start seeing themselves through the eyes of who they really are, who they were born to be, the true essence of who they actually are before they were shaped to be a certain way, then they start seeing themselves through the eyes of that. And to explain the power of this is our life is made up of the decisions that we make moment to moment. Our life is based on the moments that just pass by, moment after moment after moment. And we can choose how we show up in each of those moments. If there are things that we are unconscious to in those moments, we are living and making decisions and leading from those unconscious parts. So the more we go back into the past and heal the past, become aware of the past at a deep core level from a little boy or a little girl, allowing yourself to be in the shoes of them, building a relationship with them, we then bring a greater level of awareness into the present moment. And the more
Mhm.
awareness we have in the present moment, the better decisions we can make. The better decisions we make, the better we show up in the moment, the 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 better our future is going to be. And therefore we are actually now creating instead of recreating the past, because we're now living from a place of um, of truth and presence and awareness of all of the old patterns, the old programs based on who you were shaped to be from this hurt little boy or hurt little girl. And it's really, really powerful then what people are then able to go and create in their life and their business and their relationship when we go back and do the real work, the deep work. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's always about balance, I feel like. Because when you tell people like about the energies, very often they're like, oh, but now I need to be like overly feminine, whatever. No, it's like it's about like health. It's about like having
Mm.
this balance and yeah, but like also not being connected to one part of yourself means not being connected to yourself, like in general, I feel like. And
Yeah.
so
There's no separation, that's for sure.
we're always striving for balance.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. I think it's time to wrap it up. Thank you so much. But can you please tell my listeners, like, where can they find you? Where can they learn more about your work? And yeah, just get into it.
Beautiful. Firstly, I would love to for us to do another episode at some stage. I feel like there's so much we can go into. But I
Definitely.
know we're both pressed for time. But yeah, so on Instagram or Facebook at Ryan Moresby-White, I post heaps of content every single day. And yeah, definitely reach out, connect with me. I'm an open book. I love to connect with new people. So yeah, feel free to send me a message. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. It was so nice to have you and have a good day.
Thank you so much.